we get started, can I ask you guys your signs?
Oh my gosh.
That could be done.
Yeah, I'm a Pisces. I'm very emotional and by some definitions manipulative. Really, it's take it or leave it.
A lot?
What's up?
Do you daydream a lot?
Yeah.
Or get lost in your head a lot of the time?
Very much lost in my head, but it's not that I don't have a direction, if that makes sense. It's more so, what's the next step?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mars on Life. I'm Ryan Mancini, as always, and joined with me, as always, is
Sebastian Shug. Thank you for having me. It's really been a pleasure.
How are you doing, buddy? You've been pretty calm.
You know, honestly, first time on Mars on Life. You know, I'm just looking forward to see what happens. No, I'm just kidding. How's everybody doing? If you didn't catch last episode, you caught my rant about how virtually free, like if you shackled me, I'm now considered free of certain social media sites. And yeah, I've just never been happier. Go check that out.
And correction, you've deleted Twitter, whereas in my case, I just took Facebook off my phone
completely.
I'm still telling people to stop it with the trauma porn on Facebook, even though it's not on my phone anymore.
Completely unapologetically deactivated my account. I mean, I really have to channel my inner Seth MacFarlane when I say this, because this quote, as simple as it was, stuck out to me the most. Why are you getting into Twitter now? Unless you're an athlete or a celebrity, no one cares. And at first I thought that was just, sarcastic hyperbole. It's a cartoon. But then I start to realize, yeah, just about every single account that has a blue check mark, this was before kind of all the journalists had their own. Mm-hmm. Mainly athletes and celebrities didn't care what they had to say then, especially don't care what they have to say now. And yeah, I'm not gonna beat my head against a brick wall,
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. That's freedom. Sebastian, we have a very special guest with us this evening.
We do, yes.
This is something I've been very excited about.
That runs on too long. Special guest, please feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Deja Magee, a really, really good friend of Ryan's.
Mm-hmm.
A writer, amateur astrologer, and just a native Angelino, just trying to survive 2020 like everybody else.
Mm-hmm. That is very relatable.
Now, when you say amateur astrologer, and bear with us because we've actually had a guest previously who was more or less in the same field.
Mm-hmm.
Can you predict the outcome of what this year is going to bring? Because I can't take one more day of it, and thought I'd ask an expert,
Well, that's what I mean by amateur. I can't predict what will happen, but I do follow a lot of more advanced astrologers than me on this year and just on Twitter in general. And the major consensus is it is not going to be as bad as this year, but it will have its down points and have its problems.
2021 will?
Yeah.
I was gonna say I think we're actually beating the virus to its own game because no, really. I mean, think about it. A second wave can't happen if the first one never ends. So
that's true. It's just gonna be ongoing. That's it.
I mean, the Spanish flu was that way. The second wave, the second peak, if you will, was gigantic compared to the first wave. And it obviously didn't help that we had a world war going on at that time, not to mention, nobody believed in science at that time. It was like phrenology and, I'm not even sure if penicillin was a thing yet by that point. So.
As much as theocracy is very interesting to read in literature, like The Crucible, did absolutely nothing to give us any answers whatsoever scientifically. But no, I just thought I'd get your input on that because when we have guests on the show, it's always sort of an icebreaker, utilizing their talents, their interests in some way, shape, or form with the world around them. So thank you.
I can tell you one thing though, like the end of 2020 is going to be a shit show. It's going to go down in flames. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know
Ryan.
how,
Oh,
but
optimistic Ryan over here with his groan.
I love to be an optimist. I'm like an internal optimist, but sometimes you have to be real.
Yeah.
And sometimes the universe and the stars are gonna lay it out for you to be like, yeah, it's shitty. It's not gonna get any better. You gotta wait till like maybe January or February of 2021. That's it. So gotta hunker down.
See, yeah, we were discussing that the other day too, whether it was best to kind of remain in that sort of based space, if you will, like only it's essentially tunnel vision, but it's tunnel vision with like the best intentions, hunkering down
Mhm.
and just meeting it day by day. Um,
Yeah.
I know Ryan kind of had a not like a different opinion, but I mean, seems kind of like a broken record when I ask, but how are you faring now that we're X amount of months in?
Well, I graduated, quote unquote graduated with no graduation ceremony in May, so I'm officially a college graduate. Not how I thought
Mm,
I would spend my post grad months hunkered down in a quarantine. There are like everybody else, there are like major highs and major lows where I just don't feel like doing anything. I feel like shit. Um, but I mean, I feel like for all of us, this quarantine has made us like be with ourselves all of the time and really has made us think about things that maybe the rush of life has made us put on the back burner. And it's either killing us or we're getting stronger because of it. Sometimes it's intertwining, but yeah, it's just like ebbs and flows for me,
mhm.
honestly.
That's
Yeah.
basically me too. That pretty much clocks everything I would say about life in quarantine. Yeah, that's pretty that's accurate. That's me too.
Yeah. Yeah, like everybody I talked to could because well, I mean, I think what was it like June? I think that
Hmm.
was when like everything was going on with the protests and Black Lives Matter and
Hmm.
like
Right.
guys were talking in the beginning with all the trauma porn and like I had a friend who was like sending me videos of George Floyd and all of that. And I had to tell her, I was like, I can't watch this. Like, don't send that to me. I'm not gonna watch it. Like, cause she was enraged, and I'm like, rightfully so. And she was so black, but I was just like, I can't. I'm the
Hmm.
type of
Mhm.
person that can't look at that. Ever since Trayvon Martin's case and that whole thing, I was like, I can't watch us get killed
Right.
constantly by
Hmm.
cops. So I just try to detach myself from that as much as possible. Like I think this has been the most amount of time I've spent off social media. Like I'm on social media a lot, but there are just times when I'm like not on Twitter, not on Instagram, not on TikTok, and I'm
Hmm.
just playing my Switch because it's just a
Right.
lot. I was feeling very like apathetic and lethargic, and I just felt really numb with what's going on. I didn't want to go to a protest of the virus. It just felt like I couldn't do anything for
Right.
my people. And I was just like, you know what? I'm a sensitive individual. I'm very sensitive to all of this. I'm just gonna repost and retweet what I can, spread the message as much as I can. And when it's too much for me, I'm just gonna like put my phone down and just like escape into either video games or TV.
That's also what I've kind of noticed myself doing, especially with just being inundated with social media, because even when you're in your own echo chamber, or however you want to call it, on say Twitter or Instagram, no matter
Yes.
how many times you get a joke or something funny or something alleviating, it gets peppered in with real life, but also, again, the as I mentioned earlier, and as you pointed out, the trauma porn, which, I have a friend who also is doing the same thing. Deja, I've got somebody who's like constantly sending me stuff, reminding me about protests and things that are going on and videos, and it's kind of like, look, I know I'm a journalist. I know that this is part of, this is par for the course, but at the same time, there is such a thing as enough is enough. And, I've even read about it. I mean, SBJLA had a great article about journalists going through PTSD from everything from covering protests to covering wars. It's like that's something that we might have to deal with in the future. Not that I'm making light of it, but it affects you,
Yeah, I feel like even though this is like a really horrible comparison, but like when like people on the police force deal with killing people, and just like, like Law and Order or something like that, all those people have like horrible PTSD from like what they see and what they've done and they're doing, and it's just horrible. It's like I couldn't be in a field that deals with any of that. Like it just kind of makes me sick just thinking about.
Even very recently, and I think it was last week we talked about that we were following all of the recent developments, and even the recent killing with Dijon Kizzee by LA County sheriffs. Part of why it hit hard for me is because I had a job where I had to very frequently interact with LA County sheriff's deputies and their watch commander, whoever was on duty. It's that nagging feeling that you've got a vague connection to this, or you have a direct or indirect connection to this. As much as it was something that I was genuinely upset over, it was also just like, damn it, it's happening again, and I'm losing sleep over. It's tough, and I think, and then on top of that, you add on, and I know passed away under different circumstances, but then you add on the recent passing of Chadwick Boseman.
Oh yeah! Oh my God!
And
that like,
yeah,
my friend told me that. I mean, I was out shopping at the moment when she told me, and I like started tearing up. I was like, we didn't know. And I remember there were not videos, but photos of him looking really gaunt. And even before anyone like talked about it, I was like, yeah, that's really sad. Like, just to think how people were making fun of him. Like, when I saw those photos, I just thought to myself, that's like really scary. I hope he's getting help for anything that's going on. Like, I empathize, but it's really weird to me how people's first gut reaction to seeing someone like that is just like super desensitized and just want to make fun of them, calling him a crackhead, which is like a super derogatory insult on like a number of levels, especially with a black man. So it just breaks my heart that he's just gone. He's like totally gone.
Well, there's even a very warped irony to it, because that one of the nicknames that was thrown around was Crack Panther, and when he after he played Jackie Robinson, his whole idea of playing characters who were African American or African, he never wanted it to be a stereotype ever. And even and I would and this is of course me thinking, because I saw it recently and I was part of a discussion about it, but I recently saw Moonlight for the first time.
Oh my God, you saw it for the first. Where have you been?
Hey, for the record, I think I was I actually I don't remember where I was when I'm thinking of last year's Oscars. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, I'm like a huge fan of Moonlight. Like, I can tell. I think for my favorite black directors, especially, it's definitely Barry Jenkins and Jordan Peele, just because I'm a horror fan. And the first time I saw Get Out, it was surreal. But anyway, back to Moonlight. Yeah, like I saw Moonlight. I think I got a copy of a SAG AFTRA from a friend, and I watched it, and I cried, and I don't think I watched it for like another year because it was just too much. It was
Oh
it
wow.
was it was so raw, and it was
Hmm.
so visceral. And I remember when Moonlight won, I watched that Oscars. Me and my friends were live messaging about it. We were like, oh my God, oh my God, they fucked up. They messed up. Oh my God. Black people are actually winning something, and it's not for like a slavery movie or like a servitude movie like The Help. Um,
Well, here's a slave.
and I remember, yeah, and I remember that I think that next week our friend Maria, she was working at the Sundial with you,
Yeah.
and I asked her, I was like, oh, can I write an opinion piece about that? And she's like, yeah, you're like more than happy to. And I did, and I like wrote that in one night because I was just so fired up.
Mm.
Uh, that was like the most monumental win, I think,
Hmm.
in Oscar history, because it's not just like applauding Black excellence when it comes to filmmaking. It's applauding Black LGBTQ excellence in storytelling.
Yeah.
Because like there aren't stories that like Chiron's that get told.
Hmm.
And just but and this what I said in my article was like, just like the weaving and the intertwining of the chapters of Chiron's life, especially when it's like in three acts like a play. Moonlight's just a masterpiece. Like, it's truly a Black avant-garde masterpiece that I think really set the stage for other directors like Peele, even though he was writing Get Out in like 2008 during
Hmm.
Obama's administration. But still, it's just like you got Jenkins, and then you had Peele, and then you have like all of these other Black shows and movies that are just like super stellar. Like right now, I've been watching Lovecraft Country, which is
Hmm.
executive produced by Jordan Peele's studios, production company Monkey Paw Productions, and then there's Watchmen with
Yeah.
Regina King.
Oh, I
I love
love
her.
Watchmen.
I love Watchmen. Yeah, it was, and then to make, I don't know, spoilers. People should have watched this already, but to have Blue Man, what's his
Hmm.
name?
Dr.
Mr.
Manhattan.
Manhattan. He had to be Dr. Manhattan to be Black. Oh my God!
I loved it.
Like,
It was such a reinvention of the character because I think by that point I don't think I had read the graphic novel yet, but I had
yeah,
seen the
me
movie
neither.
and it was kind of like it just added such a different dimension, and it even added an
Hmm.
interesting discussion of it was an interesting discussion merely because it was using a lot of the kind of religious iconography that people have with discussions about Dr. Manhattan, but then applying it
Hmm.
to other issues as well, where, some people even argued with Dr. Manhattan that he's basically a white god in blackface. But then
Yeah.
that totally changes on its head when, and I remembered the actor's name because I had a job where I had to say his name repeatedly, Yahya
Hmm.
Abdul Mateen II. The fact
God,
that
I
he
love them.
had the blue makeup on him just it blew my mind. I was just there's no other way I can put it. The series was just so great, and how they incorporated him and how they changed the mythology of the character. It just and he, Dr. Manhattan's my favorite Watchmen character. I know
Mhm.
everybody likes Rorschach, and I know friends of mine that hate conservatives that are like Rorschach's my favorite character, and I'm like, he's kind of like a QAnon guy, but yeah, Rorschach's cool. Yeah, why not? But the point I was gonna make about Moonlight is that um, Naomi Harris, when she was approached about playing Chiron's mom, she
Mhm.
wasn't so sure about the role because she felt that it was a very stereotypical role, and
Yeah,
to be like, my mom went through this, and the playwright who wrote the original story for this, his mom went through it. So it's not like we're trying to stereotype. It's in a way we want to be accurate. We want to be delicate about it because we've been through it.
Yeah, and that's what I mean when it's like there aren't a lot of stories, because uh there could have been ways that Moonlight definitely would have stereotyped Chiron's mom and the whole situation with Chiron, but just the fact that it added layers to Juan, where he was selling Chiron's mom the
Mhm.
drugs, but he and his wife took in Chiron because his mom was a drug addicted woman who really
Mhm.
didn't like her son because of what he was. Um, there, I could write a dissertation on that movie because it was there are just so many things, even though it's so simple. Like the way the movie is, it's just so simple. But when you
Really
like
is,
look
yeah.
into the but when you look into the meat and bones of meat and potatoes, I should say that correctly. But when you look into it, it's just so good. Like you can watch that over and over again and
Yeah.
get more from it each watch. But yeah, I think I've only watched it like 3 times because it's just too strong. It
Mhm.
like it hurts too much. I think that and the movie Hereditary are the only movies that I've watched 3 times that are very hard for me to watch again
Mhm.
because they're just so visceral for me. I can't do it. I have to be like in a mood, or I'm not in school anymore, but I would need to like have it as an assignment to watch or something.
And that was also how I initially felt about, and I know Sebastian and I have talked about this movie constantly, but that's how I felt about Joker the first time I saw it. I was like,
Mm.
once was enough. It was tremendous, but once was enough. And since then, I have found all of the weird. I don't even know if I could call it proper moments to rewatch it. It's just like a. It's hard to describe it. It's almost like something's coming and you're kind of like, well, I guess I might as well just pop this in because, if something bad's about to happen, I might as well realize that it can't possibly be any worse than it is in Gotham City. So I guess kind of moving back towards yourself. First off, congratulations on graduating. You're joining Sebastian.
You.
He also graduated this past semester. So
Oh,
I'm
congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's a little bit of a turbulent time, but
Yep.
it's one of those things.
Yeah. You were just getting through it, trying to.
kind of looking back on your career thus far and your life, looking back at going to Cal State Northridge, where you and I met in school. It's also where Sebastian and I met. Did you ever see your trajectory going towards journalism and writing like that? Or did you have more of like an English writing kind of view of the world that possibly was going to take you off in that more kind of literary direction?
No, no, not at all. I actually wanted to be a film student, but my mom didn't like that for me because she thought it would be boxing myself in, and she wanted me to get a degree in English because I was good at it. I'm good at writing. I've been writing since I think I was 12.
Hmm.
And she just said, get a practical degree because you're good at it. It'll open a lot of doors for you, and it's really broad, unlike film where you can only work in film. It's more practical, but to the entertainment industry. And with an English degree, I could do anything I want. I could be, a reader of scripts. I can be an author. I can be a technical writer, write textbooks, proofread textbooks, things like that. So yeah, I still want to be a film director and a screenwriter. I mean, I have an English degree. I can still do that, and it says it on the CSUN English department's mission statement that I can do all of those things. So there's that. So I can do that, but I don't think I had a plan initially once I uh, took my major option into English, because I mean, there people always think that when you're an English major, you only are going to either academics or teaching, and I wanted
Hmm.
to divert from both of those because I don't want to be a teacher, and I sure as hell do not want to be in academia. I just want to write, and
Hmm.
and the English department for CSUN, I kind of have a gripe with it because there wasn't much that you could do. It was only those two stagnant things where it's like you either teach or you either are a writer, and if you want to be a writer, you're only going to be a struggling writer and you have to go to grad school. And I'm like, I don't want to do any of those things. So it was like very hard for me to find like an outlet for myself where I could do something else. I wanted to like go against the norm, quote unquote, the norm of the department. And that's when I started writing for the Sundial after I wrote the Moonlight article. I wrote a couple of reviews for Get Out, and then I wrote one for The Shape of Water, another Oscar win that I'm really proud of. And then I got a job at the Sundial, and then that was like the best thing that ever happened to me, because I personally didn't think that I would get into journalism. All I knew is that I wanted to write stories and write movies and other things like that. And being in the Sundial really opened doors for me in ways that I never thought I would have. I went to the Paley Fest. I interviewed Angela Bassett. I'm still shocked that happened. I didn't expect that. Yeah, and it's so funny because you think she's like really tall, but she's like 5'2" in heels. Or no, she's like 5'4" in heels, so she's like my height in heels. So she's really, really tiny. And I was super professional. It was just like a fun experience. And I was like, I could see myself like doing this as a career if I wanted to. And yeah, so I worked there until I graduated this semester, and now I'm just floating by. But I think that's just me now. I just want to write. I don't care what I'm writing. I don't care how I'm writing it. I don't care who I'm writing it for. I don't care if I'm a copywriter for like a big company. I just want to be writing. And that's the funny thing about me is that even if I don't have like a solid plan, if I like make one super quick, I'll still land on my feet somehow. I'm usually pretty lucky about that. Besides working at the Sundial, I had a job at the Africana Studies Department as a editor, had a job for the Captured Student Multimedia Research Journal. We were still going on campus until I think mid-March, and then there were some problems that we had, and I became the lead editor. So I've been handling that all on my own. I've been trying to hone my leadership skills, and I'm doing a pretty good job. So I'm proud of myself for that. So and yeah, I always think it's really important for people to pat themselves on the back when they can, because I feel like people don't do that enough in today's society. They really need to like look inward and remind themselves how great they are, how much their shit doesn't stink, but only sometimes, because you don't want to be that arrogant. Yeah, I just want to write. I honestly just want to write, and that's why I started my like little astrology business by helping people find more about themselves. Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to talk more about that, I can talk about astrology all day.
I was going to say that Sebastian mentioned her towards the start of the show. Recent-ish guest Crystal Dewan, who I worked with at the Santa Clarita Valley Signal. She's done journalism. She's covered politics. She's right in the same vein that you're in regards to, astrology, and she, has sessions with people both on Instagram, but also I don't know if she's still doing any in-person appointments, I guess is the term she uses. But yeah, she's somebody I might see if I can get the two of you in touch with each other and see before 2020 cool. Before 2020 incinerates all of us.
Explodes. Just like
Alderaan. Bye-bye.
Exactly.
No, that's great.
Just goodbye.
And that's how it happened in Star Wars, right, Sebastian? Tarkin was just like, Alderaan, bye-bye.
Yeah. It sounds like he's getting tired of you, Ryan.
No. It's definitely not that. It's just that this topic has been beating a dead horse is not even sufficient enough to describe that, okay? Oh yeah, last time we discussed anything Star Wars related was the absolute letdown that was episode 9. And
Oh, don't even get me started. Don't even get me
thank
started.
you.
Just
Thank you.
don't.
Really.
Just
I
don't.
remember I remember when I vowed I'd never see it, and Ryan and I met up for the first time so I could I think get my microphone back. And Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't think the movie was all that as well, right?
I really, really, really did not like it
Okay.
in the months at like I was Phantom Menaced that first month
Mm-hmm.
where I liked it, but then especially once the Colin Trevorrow script came out for Duel of the Fates, I was like, yeah, we were robbed. We were stolen a good movie. Or at least
And
it seemed that way to me.
And see, the thing is, I didn't go watch it in the movie theaters because I was like, after episode 8, I was like, I can't support this anymore. I mean, I'm not that big of a Star Wars fan anyway. I didn't grow up with it like a lot of people did. Because my mom's not a big Star Wars fan either. But I watched it on Disney Plus, and I
Okay.
was like, the movie's not that bad. But if I saw it in theaters, I would demand my money back because whew,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll admit, there were a couple scenes that
No.
looked great in
There
the
weren't.
theater. No, like
There weren't.
Nah.
Mancini,
there
look,
was at least
I
one.
understand.
At least one scene.
Yeah, I can't fucking find it. So
It was when Lando pulled a what's his name from the Avengers? Shoot, what's his name? Oh, Falcon. There we go. It's when
Yeah.
Lando pulls a Falcon and says, you know, we're hey, Poe Dameron, we're coming in on your left. Like,
yeah, cool.
and
You
then
still
there's
spent,
like,
you still
and then there's
spent
like a million
$18 on a
ships.
ticket. You still
That
spent
was
$18 on a ticket, bro.
the other 99% of the movie I wish just didn't happen outside of all the Kylo Ren scenes. Like everything just go away.
Oh my god, the Kylo Ren and Race.
Actually,
oh my god.
I take that back because I keep it. It's like with Vader. You know, there's Vader and then there's Anakin. The Kylo Ren scenes. Don't get me started on the Ben Solo scenes because that was where I was like, okay, this movie needs an enema. And and the problem was it was KIA before enema could be enacted. So, you know, but no, I've only seen that movie once and I will never watch it again. The way I see it, it all like, here's the thing. I now know I'm no longer as much of a fan of the 7th movie because this one was so bad. I do have to break with you, Deja, and say I genuinely really, really liked Last Jedi. Although some of the recent stuff John Boyega said has kind of broken my heart a little bit about that movie.
I'm happy because I cannot wait to read his interview. I'm so excited.
Oh, yeah.
I want him to try so bad.
I'll send it to you after the interview. I think it was with GQ that he did the interview where he was basically like, I was phoning it in by the end of it.
Oh yeah.
I think just about everyone was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty much everybody.
Pretty much fucking everyone.
When it came down to being a reporter at the Sundial, which, you know, that was another former job of mine, was being both an editor and a reporter there. I guess, what was it like? Because that was something that I always loved about seeing what you got to do at the Sundial compared with what we got to do, where, you know, in my day, it was like very sports heavy, sports oriented, you know, invites to sporting events, whereas I was like, I'd rather just stew in my corner and complain about climate change or Fred Phelps or basically tell people Donald Trump's not going to win. Don't worry about it. But you got to go to places and interview, you know, as you said, you got to interview Angela Bassett. Like, having a taste of that, but also having the creative freedom that you did have at the Sundial, I guess, what was it like to have that while you were in school before the dark times began?
Well, I was working in the arts and entertainment section, so we really had a lot of like free range to do or to be as creative and flowery in our articles as much as possible. So being an English major, that was like the best part for me. And then I think around like November, after I had my first semester at the Sundial, I like went to more places. I went to, I think it was called the Latinx 21 like film festival, was like the first ever Latinx film festival in the Valley, and I got to interview the founder of that, and it was really fun. What else did I do besides Paley Fest? I think Paley Fest was like my biggest achievement at the Sundial. My second biggest achievement, or it like pars right in with the first, is where I got to interview one of my favorite Black internet creators. Her name is Cheyenne Iwalu. I found out about her from this YouTube channel she used to do with her friends. It was called Pretty Brown and Nerdy, and it was basically about Black girl nerds just talking about what they were interested in. And I found like really nice solace in that, because growing up, I was like kind of outcast. Kind of an outcast because of what I like. Like I like comic books, I liked anime, and a lot of people, or at least like most of my friend group in high school, didn't like that. So I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. But I just kept to myself about that, because as an only child, I don't really, if I don't have to share anything, I don't mind. I can talk about other things. I'm a sociable person. Yeah, getting to interview her was like super big, because even like a small, decent sized creator, but just the fact that she like she let me interview her was so big, because I've been following her for a while and I love her. She's so funny. I got to interview her, and then there was another girl that I got to interview, which was pretty cool, and it was basically for the Black issue of the Sundial, where we got to talk about Black community issues. And I think the name of that article was Black Creatives in Los Angeles or something. So yeah, that was the highlight of my year this year. Otherwise, it has just been going downhill, downhill from there.
Arts and entertainment, that section, I contributed to it a few times right before I graduated, and I got to tell you, you're part of a strong lineage. Nilofer Lodi, she was the A&E editor when I got started there, and let me tell you, Nilo, if you're listening, your lineage remains strong. Referring to you, Deja, of course. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. The number of times that I would see, especially one of your film reviews, and I'd see that you would share it on Instagram, like I immediately saved it, because I was like, okay, this is the one thing on Instagram today that's like the priority, that and watching French Bulldog videos. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something that we're always looking for, especially in regards to this show, is finding people that are artists of some kind, journalist, sculptor, podcaster, whomever, and getting a chance to kind of put a microscope on how their work kind of reflects society. And especially given that, as you said at the start of the show, you're another Angelino going through life in the age of COVID. And do you see kind of your surroundings and your kind of just being in Southern California, do you ever feel like that ever translates into some of your work, or do you think that it's more unique to yourself and not so much what's around you?
I think it's more unique to myself, because as a Black woman in the Valley, even though it's heavily, POC related, like Black people are really spread out. I didn't have a lot of Black friends in high school. My majority of my friend group now isn't Black, so it's more it's more so it's how am I trying to say this word? Individualistic.
Yeah.
Yes. After I create something, I share it with my Black followers and my internet Black friends that I have, because I want us to connect as much as possible, even if we are far away from each other or something like that. So yeah, it's more so unto myself, more so than my surroundings.
In every way, that's kind of how our show has been about. So to get a chance to talk with people that you know what goes into their work is coming from themselves rather than their surroundings. We've had plenty of guests come on that are chiefly on talking about how society has reflected into something they've made. And I think to hear from you that being as creative as you are and having a chance to have various platforms to share that creativity with people, to me, that's why I think there's a lot of uniqueness when it comes to West Coast forms of art of every kind. In a weird way, we're marginalized compared with the East Coast, where you've got your Harvards and your Yales and your New York Cities and your Georgetowns.
Oh
and
yeah,
whatnot.
we don't have that. We do not have that at all.
Other than sort of reinforcing what I've more or less advocated throughout a variety of episodes, where, I mean, yes, it does come down to subjective opinion of where, when, and how you get the inspiration overall to be an artist. But my point still kind of stands of like, it should come from the individual and work its way from the inside out. Thank you for not making me feel alone, I guess you could say. And Ryan, you had a good opposing point where, it definitely should come from the society around you, and it has for centuries. But I think especially during this pandemic, it's not made me feel so much selfish personally. That me in particular, I've been experimenting with different art styles. It just made me feel more elated in the fact that I could do it through my own intuition.
Yeah.
So again, no, thank you.
Oh, and I think that's something different about me because I'm an only child.
Same here. Yeah.
I'm the only grandchild in my immediate family. I have like a lot of cousins, but I don't talk to them, so they're basically estranged. And most of my friends have siblings, so they don't know what it's like to be an only child. I would do some things that they'll be like, "Oh, why are you doing it like that?" Or, "Oh, why do you think like that?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know, because I didn't have anyone to tell me otherwise or tell me different or make my behavior different when I was growing up." So a lot of like my behavior is from an shit individualistic mentality because I've been on my own for so long. So yeah, I think I really actually haven't written anything in a while. I haven't written anything since I left the Sundial. Most of what I've been writing is my astrology reports for people. That's how I get my writing bug out. But I haven't written anything narrative in a while. For this pandemic, I've started painting.
Oh, cool.
So that's like my cathartic outlet. Other than that, I've just been chilling. But yeah, back to what I was saying. Like, being an only child, I guess it makes me different in a lot of ways because I feel like compared to some of my friends, I like wholeheartedly like accept who I am, and even though I'm still like going through still going through life as a human being and still learning things, I'm like super accepting of myself and who I am as an individual. And I just let myself process things. Honestly, people can't believe that I'm an only child sometimes because of how well equipped with social skills I am. Like, I tell people that I'm an only child and they're like, "Wow, are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah, you never hear me talk about any siblings. Like, I don't have any. I'm by myself."
I do hear what you're saying on how that kind of a growing up and being an only child, that's even myself growing up, I knew a lot of people in elementary school that were only children and definitely seemed determined in a very unique way. And I guess maybe it's because I'm a history geek that I always have kind of a perception of, ancestors did this, Jesus Christ, what are my descendants going to have to go through? Like, I have that
Oh
kind
my
of
God.
studiousness to me, but then that also encompasses, like, oh crap, I just went through 4 years at CSUN with X problems. Does this mean my sibling has to go through X problems? Because I even remember working at the Sundial, and we were covering campus crimes that genuinely had me terrified. I was seeing somebody at the time, so I was scared for her, but it made me think about my sister, who still had like another year and a half until she became a college student. So now, have you lived with roommates since then,
No,
or? Oh, wow. Okay.
no, I have been home. I've lived at home all my life, never moved out.
Mhm.
Because my family's just me and my mom, so there's no reason to. If I'm moving, she's usually coming with me,
Right.
because it's just us. So yeah, I'm lucky in the fact that I don't have to live with a lot of people, and I can just do whatever I want. And I know what it's like to have my own space, to have my sanctuary and not have it disturbed sometimes because my mom
Hmm.
may be doing something, or I just don't have to deal with that. And I'm really happy because I would hate to have to share my bathroom with somebody, to share
Yeah.
something with somebody.
Oh, you're singing my song. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh man. This whole time period has been fascinating, and it kind of ties in with something you were talking about earlier about how you're able to sort of maintain your creativeness while you're at home. And I guess, and this kind of goes in my next question for you, I guess, do you think your background in writing and journalism to a certain extent, would you say that factored into the astrology, or I guess how did you kind of transition to that, uh, sort of on your downtime, and especially downtime in the age of COVID?
Well, I wanted to make money. That's like my main. But no, but well, I've always like been reading their people's charts, like if I meet someone and I like try to see their vibe, whether or not they're okay with me talking about astrology to them. I'm like, "Oh, do you know your birth time?" And then they're like, "Oh, why do you want to know that?" And I was like, "Well, um I can, read your chart and learn more about you that way." And they're like, "Oh, okay." So I do it sometimes, and I've gotten
Hmm.
uh skilled in that to the point where I think I've gotten only good reception from it so far, but I wanted to make it into a business of mine, and I've been thinking about doing readings for a while, but there are a couple of things going on in the astro community where it's like you shouldn't be a reader unless you have like a specific amount of knowledge of astrology, or you shouldn't do it if you're like a little bit too young. And I'm just like, you know what? I just want to help people get in touch with, themselves a bit more if they're feeling a little bit lost. And
Hmm.
I like helping people that way. I think of myself as a teacher, but not in the traditional sense. I don't want to help people in that way. I want to help people get to know more about themselves, know more about the inner parts of them. If they're like facing a certain problem, I want to tell them like, oh, this placement in your chart means this, or this is why you act like that. And
Hmm.
I think that's like my main motivation for it, because sometimes there are people who are like, oh, I don't know what to do about this certain problem. And I'm like, oh, well, if you have this certain placement in your chart, this is the reason why you act like this. And here's a way how you can like counteract that part of you, or how you can like change that about yourself, or, how you can see that you're going to respond that way, and maybe you don't want to respond that way, so you can respond a different way. So it's more so like that. But yeah, there are like other services that people provide, like tarot and other different types of readings. So mine's like very simple, very minimal. I get
Hmm.
the person's information, so I get their birth time, their birthplace, and then their birth date, and then I put it in like a little system. It's just a website. Um, But I put it in, I save it in there, and then I analyze their charts, their placements, and basically talk to them about what they're like and what kind of person they are. And usually it's pretty accurate. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing that a lot of people don't understand about astrology sometimes, is that it's so sensationalized and it's so mainstream now that like Cosmopolitan and like Refinery 29, they cheapen it a lot to the point where they get down just to one sign, and then that's, I mean, it's like, like J14 or Tiger Beat horoscopes or things like that, where you just read one sign, but there's so much more to a person than just that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read people and I tell them the characteristics of their placements, they're like, "That's really scary. How do you know that?" Like this past Sunday, I was hanging out with friends, social distancing, and I was telling them about their placements, and they were like, "Stop it. That's like really scary. How do you know that?" And I'm just like, "Hey man, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. This is just what it is. This is what I'm seeing, and this is what it says about you." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And it's yeah. So I think I've gotten pretty good at it, and people really like my services, and it helps them figure out what problems they need fixing in their lives and things like that. So yeah.
Now, has anybody, and I know Sebastian's probably going to whack me over the head for this, but has anybody come to you asking about what you see happening in regards to the presidential election?
Oh God, no, 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 no. They do not, because I'm not that advanced. I know my limitations
You know
right now.
what?
I'm still a student.
Hey, you know what?
Uh-huh.
You're with that attitude, you're leaps and bounds above the average Twitter user who calls forth its first witness and then declares a verdict. So no,
And
really, props.
I'm not crazy. I have a brain. I'm
Thank-
not. Yes.
no, thank you. Clearly,
Yeah, I'm not gonna set myself up for that, because I don't. I want. There's a certain outcome that I want to happen, but I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna happen the way that I want it to. But I just follow what the astrologers on Twitter say. They don't. I don't think they have a outcome for this election specifically. They just say, yeah. Well, okay. So I'll give you an example. I'll try to like make it in layman's terms. So basically, um, let's see, Mars, right? Mars is the planet of aggression and anger and sex, and right? But forget about the sex part.
Hmm.
I'm talking about your part. And it's Mars is in Aries right now, and it's going to be in Aries from I think it's in Aries from August to I think early January of 2021. And because it's in Mars, it's in its native planet. It's what it's ruled by. So if someone is very angry with you, or people are just frustrated for no reason, that's why. And a lot of astrologers on Twitter were talking about like, look, once Mars gets into Aries, or a little bit before that, before it gets into Aries, shit is gonna go down. Shit is gonna happen. People are gonna get angry. People are gonna get fired up. People are going to do whatever they want to do because they fucking can, because aggression just rules us sometimes. So
Hmm.
when you said that, I was like, baby, I'm going to try to just be on the narrow, be on the straight path, not do anything to anger anybody, because I don't want anyone mad at me, especially with Aries and Mars, because they can get angry real fast, real fast.
So you had also asked right before we started recording about our signs. So I think
What's
I'm
your sign?
Sagittarius.
You're a Sag? Well, that kind
Yes.
of makes sense, because Sagittariuses are usually really into like religion and philosophy and theology and things like that, and they like talk about it a lot. So that makes a lot of sense.
you got to be a faith reporter with the non-faith that you have, and see, this is why it's so poetic. Okay.
Oh yeah.
because you know what? Fucking enough said, honestly. Like, just,
Well,
bravo.
if anything, it helped merely because it meant that I wasn't going to be easily swayed by anybody that was trying to proselytize. Plus, I could look at what a church, or more specifically, what a synagogue or a mosque was doing, that was something that any humanist and any secularist or atheist would do. It was always, though, the different churches of the Christian faith that tended to be a little bit more, may God be with you and stuff like that. Before we wrap up, I'll just kind of mention this quickly, just to kind of get both your thoughts on it. So you know how in Washington, D.C. and in other parts of the country, there are like main streets or certain streets in major American cities where the words Black Lives Matter have been painted onto the street.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a similar situation happened in Santa Clarita recently, where 3 teenage girls spray painted BLM in like a kind of U-turn area, and they ended up getting arrested. And
Oh my God.
one of the young people, her name was revealed only because she is 18 years old, but last I checked, I think she's still in high school. So, you know, that was something that I found out recently that I was kind of just like, really? Santa Clarita? Really? Really? You know.
Yeah.
You know, and we kind of talked about it at the beginning of the episode, but with a lot of stuff that has been going on, it's just thinking about what things are going to kind of look like at the other end, especially if, you know, if and when COVID ends, if and when there's substantial
That's a
change.
big if and when.
Oh yeah. Well, I've already been joking with people that I'm probably not going to be wearing button-up shirts until 2022. And even
God.
and even on that, I'm not so sure. So like, it's become a tedious thing to dwell on. But anyway,
Yeah.
so Deja, before we let you go, just wanted to see if you had anything you wanted to plug, any social media you wanted to let people know about so they can find you and follow you online.
I'm mostly on Twitter and Instagram. I go by the Warblerette. It's like a Glee reference, you know, the Warblers. I was a big fan in high school. Love them. Yeah, so that's what I go by. Yeah. So that's why I'm called that. It's a good name. It's stuck forever. It's simple, straight to the point, kind of enigmatic. People don't know what it is, but it sounds really cool. Yeah. So I don't know if they'll put it in the description, but yeah, you guys can go follow me there. I'm not that big of an influencer. I have a YouTube channel, but I haven't really done anything since the beginning of the year because I was going to do stuff after I graduated, but then Corona hit and I have no motivation to do anything. So I don't know when I'm going to be posting back on that account anymore. So yeah, Instagram and Twitter. And follow me there. I post a lot of funny stuff on my story because I'm always on TikTok. Ryan can tell you it's very chaotic. God. A lot of this. Very chaotic a lot of the time. On Twitter, the same, but I'm mostly talking. On Instagram, I'm just showing things that I like on TikTok. But other than that, yeah, I don't really have anything to plug besides my astrology business. I make my readings affordable. If they have any questions, they can DM me and talk to me about what they want, and I can see if I can help them. And yeah, I think that's all I have to plug. I don't really have anything.
That TikTok about Willem Dafoe and Antichrist with the Jekyll and Hyde music. Oh my goodness. Now I got a very brief story for you that I got to tell you. So this was, I think, the day after. This was like maybe a few hours after you got back to me and you were like, "This is so funny." After I had said, like, I've been laughing at this thing from sunup to sundown. So my sister was in her room looking on TikTok, posting Hamilton TikTok videos. See previous episodes about Hamilton. But all of a sudden, I'm in my bedroom, she's in her bedroom, and all of a sudden I start hearing the exact same music from the TikTok video, and I just remember leaping. Like I somehow was able to do one leap from my bed to her front door, and was like, "I've heard that. That's funny." It was just great. And she just
Oh my God, do you have a TikTok, Ryan?
I do not. I don't know if I'll get one from.
You need to make no, you need to make one. It's like Instagram where you don't necessarily have to post anything. It's just it just makes time pass a lot faster because of all the funny shit that's on there.
Mhm.
Me and my friends, we just send each other the most out of pocket shit and just laugh for hours on hours. It is amazing. Oh my God. And the For You page, the algorithm for the You page for the For You page on TikTok blows Instagram algorithm for our Explore page out of the water. It is so pinpoint accurate. It is scary. The freaking China people listening, the people listening are so like the most minute things that you talk about on
Mhm.
Instagram or even TikTok itself, it will pop up on your For You page in like a millisecond. It is insane. It is
Oh
strictly
man.
catered to you. It is crazy.
Oh.
You think all the out of pocket I post on my stories something,
Mhm.
make your own TikTok and then curate your own For You page. You will be shocked at how good it is to your personality. It's unmatched. I love TikTok so much. It's like the
I'll
greatest thing ever.
I'll check it out. I've been a little busy lately with local political stuff, but I'll definitely see what I can do to look into it. I know and Sebastian can attest to this, I've been very anti-social media for the past several months, but who knows? It might be an interesting reprieve for me. I don't know.
Yeah, we can follow each other and then I can send you really dumb shit because wow. That Willem Dafoe-esque meme, that music behind it, it's a meme right now on TikTok. So you'll find a lot of videos like
Oh.
that and you'll laugh a lot.
Before we let you go, I'll let Sebastian, I'll let you give your socials.
Sure. So when it comes down to various social media sites, you could find me on virtually everywhere except Twitter, and that practically only leaves about two others. Um, no, so basically you can find me on Instagram under the handle of Dr. Sebi. You can also find me on YouTube posting daily narrations there under the handle of Seabass, Seabass. For an audio archive, you can also follow the podcast Shugsy's Storytime, where there is a daily uploaded narration. If you're a fan of music, like most people generally are, you could follow me under the handle of Shugsy, that's Schugzy. Other than that, check out my various short films that I made over the last, I want to say, a month and a half. I just finished my fourth and final one, which is kind of unfortunate. Sorry to see it go. But like most mundane things in life, they all have to come to an end. Take it away.
Mr. Versetti would be proud, Sebastian.
I love how that's an in-joke only so many people get because they didn't even play the game.
Well, and it's also the people that don't know my proclivity for Grand Theft Auto and how long it dates back, and where it dates back in specific. There's a reference. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Mancini Ryan, and when it comes to Twitter, I'll be found with the handle of Mancini RA. Twitter, Yowza, but then again, when it's Ed Markey winning his primary, it's a good place to be. Eat that, Joseph Kennedy III. Deja, thank you so much for being on the show. We wanted you on since before we had settled on a name. It's great to finally have you come on the show, and we're definitely going to have you come back in the future.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I was going to say, I could talk for hours. I would be more than happy to be on here.
You got it. And as always, whenever we have a new guest on the show, we always give them these parting words, and we'll cater them in their own way for you, to which they're really only catered to you because it's going to include your name. Catchphrase is pretty much the same. Deja, welcome to Mars.
Welcome to Mars.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
It's better than Earth, isn't it?
Yes. Any planet's better.
Thank you for listening to Mars on Life. You can find us over on Instagram and on Twitter at Mars on Life Show. In terms of listening to the show, you can find us wherever podcasts are found. That includes Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and Radio Public. Also, don't forget to head on over to the official Mars on Life YouTube channel. That way you can find our full catalog of episodes. Our artwork is done by Zachary Erberich, and our intro music is Space Explorers by Kevin MacLeod. I've been Ryan Mancini. My co-host, as always, is Sebastian Shug. And just remember, if you keep on going, you'll make it to Mars.